The Donald Trump administration in the US stepped up its clash with Harvard University by stripping the school of its right to admit international students. This decision has left thousands of foreign students, including hundreds from India, in a state of uncertainty, as you can imagine. The Trump administration has clearly said it is halting Harvard University's ability to enroll international students and has ordered existing international students at the university to transfer or lose their legal status. The international students have been told to either transfer to another institution or risk losing their legal status in the US. In fact, Harvard's official website says that anywhere between 500 to 800 Indian students and scholars are part of the university every year. Right now, 788 students from India are currently enrolled at the university, so this move could significantly affect Harvard, which enrolls nearly 6,800 international students, most of them in graduate programs. And for an expert's view on the matter, joining us live from Texas at the moment, senior attorney Jeff Quilhot. And we'll also have alumni of the Harvard University, Professor Richard Painter, with us in just a few moments. Jeff, thank you so much for your time joining us on NDTV. Legally speaking, how shaky or solid is the Trump administration's decision to revoke Harvard's ability to host F1 and J1 visa students? They, in fact, say that 27% of their students are actually international students.
Yeah, it's hard. Obviously, Harvard has already come out and said they plan to, fight this decision. Administration of the CVIS program, it's pretty clear in the regulations as far as what's required for a university to be certified in the program. The reporting requirements, are pretty clear as well but they're really largely based on making sure that the university updates student address information, is reporting, their work information. The universities maintain their compliance in all these, fairly standard areas. And so the administration's letter today really goes beyond that. And it does open them up to challenge, but at the same time, a challenge could take a while. In the letter, the administration gave Harvard 72 hours to provide a number of materials, from the last 5+ years, related to their foreign student population. But that goes beyond, again, what's in the regulations for maintaining compliance with CVIS. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly this moves with Harvard and their challenges, likely end up in court.
Well, we'll be keeping a close eye on all the developments. But the administration, meanwhile, Jeff, is framing this as a crackdown on anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism. Can such claims legally underpin visa revocations?
Well, for an individual, if they have, issues in their past related to those issues, that could certainly be an issue. For the university itself, the reporting requirements as part of the CVIS program are reporting, making sure students are attending classes, making sure the students themselves are staying out of trouble. So if someone has been arrested before and Harvard's not reporting that, that could certainly be an issue. But again, the letter today goes well beyond that. And it includes, it seems to be another escalating step in the administration's war against, some of our elite universities. That they frame it, they talk about how they took away funding from Harvard as well.
Right.
So, this is part of a larger pattern.
You think this could escalate into a precedent-setting legal showdown between federal authorities and private universities?
Yeah, they've already made that clear, and the Trump administration intends to target foreign students who are here in the United States studying. They've released new rules and guidance as far as reviewing applicants for visas foreign social media history. They've also, over the past several months, there were, I think, around 5,000 foreign students who had their CVIS records terminated on an individual basis. And so, that was actually enjoined in court today. But you've seen, this pattern of activity amping up the pressure on foreign students and the scrutiny that's being applied to foreign students. In some cases, it goes beyond, certainly individuals who are causing problems. There's, no need for that. But, it does appear people are being caught up, innocent people, who maybe don't have anything that would otherwise impact their immigration status. So, yeah, it is something that's part of a larger pattern with the administration. There's also talk, of other ways. It's not just people who are currently studying at these universities. Harvard graduates who may be working in the United States with employers, some of our largest, most, important companies who are working on their OPT. Those individuals are also impacted by the decision today.
Right. Meanwhile, Secretary Noam says that Harvard's non-compliance with record requests has justified this entire move. But from a legal standpoint, does due process seem to have been followed?
It's certainly going to be shaky, and obviously, you know, Harvard's going to have, when it comes to due process arguments and those arguments, it's going to be, you know, they're going to have some of the finest lawyers they can muster on the case. You know, I will say, I think the challenge is going to be, you know, there's in the CVIS regulations, there's a process for removing school certifications. You know, typically this is done, universities have to be recertified on a rolling basis every few years. And so you do see, you know, cases where universities may lose that certification. Typically it's certainly not an institute, you know, as respected and prestigious as Harvard. You know, it's maybe a university that isn't complying with the data keeping requirements, or you know, an institute like Trump University, where they're, you know, it's not necessarily on the up and up. So their actions certainly going to be challenged. The hard part is obviously for individuals who are there. You mentioned, you know, 800 or so Indian students. It's not going to resolve overnight. You know, the administration is looking for a fight, it seems, and they're not going to, you know, it's not going to be as simple as Harvard responding to the letter, providing the materials. Even if they do that, who knows what would happen to the CVIS certification.
Well, as we wrap, Jeff, then how strong would you say Harvard's legal position is if this ends up at an apex court, at the Supreme Court, and what timeline are we realistically looking at?
I mean, I think obviously they've given Harvard 72 hours to provide additional documentation. There have been ongoing discussions, and I don't know the nature of those with the university. You know, for those individuals who are impacted directly already, obviously, you know, they will be needing to look for alternative ways to stay in the United States, whether it's obtaining some sort of visa or status through a spouse, or, you know, employment, or short-term visas or other options, you know, in university settings. Because unless Harvard is certified to enroll students through CVIS, you know, they obviously won't be able to go back to Harvard.
Right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us with the clarifications that we crucially needed at this point. We will, of course, revert to you for regular updates.